access to some of these picks and giving you the chance to get top trade ideas from the AI Trade Finder every day for 100% free. Just text trade to 76626. Stop trying to find the right stocks to trade on your own. Just text trade to 76626 now and get access to the top trades our AI finds every single day. Text trade to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Text trade to 76626.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Bright sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 95. Winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows level off around 65. Bright sunshine expected tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 97. Sunny skies and dry Friday and Saturday. Mid-90s Friday, upper 90s by Saturday. Take a look at the extended forecast. 102 Sunday, 102 Monday, and 103 on Tuesday. To recap, a high of 95 today, a low of 65 tonight, highs reach 97 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently 61.
When something happens to your kitchen, you might say,
"This is ludicrous."
But that won't fix your home. That will only get you the rapper, Ludacris.
Having trouble? Don't panic. Don't be alarmed. You need to file a claim? Holla at State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
That's right. You can file a claim on the app or call us.
Thanks, Mr. Chris.
No matter how ludicrous the situation, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Hi, my son's teacher emailed his back-to-school list. He needs crayons and a comp book for every subject.
Okay, no problem. With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school.
Oh, now they're saying he needs folders and glue.
You got it.
And markers?
Of course.
Oh, geez.
Can we get a cart, please?
Save big on back to school with Staples Hot Deals. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each at Staples. Ends 8/24, in-store only, limit 30.
In recent months, some people looking for Midwest Energy on Google have reported sponsored ads pop up with different phone numbers, connecting them to scammers. When online, always look closely at links and phone numbers before clicking or calling. Midwest Energy's only phone number is 1-800-222-3121. Any other number, and it's likely a scam. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative, making energy work for you.
Don't miss out on the anniversary sale currently happening at Vince's GM Center in Burlington. Vince's is a family-owned and operated Chevrolet and GMC dealership that has been serving the tri-state area for over 4 decades. To celebrate this milestone, Vince's is offering large discounts on both new and pre-owned inventory. With the largest selection in the tri-state area, Vince's is sure to meet your vehicle needs and your budget. Shop their entire sale at vincesgmcenter.com. Vince's GM Center on Rose Avenue in Burlington, where they've been selling cars for over 40 years and making friends for life.
It's time for the Logan County Fair, and the Farmers State Bank of Oakley is proud to be involved in many of the events. Look for us clerking the 4-H food and livestock auctions, operating a ride at the Home-Owned Carnival, and participating in the parade. Remember to support our local 4-H members by viewing their projects at the fairgrounds, and be sure to arrive early at the carnival each night to take advantage of discounted wristbands sponsored by the Farmers State Bank of Oakley. A tradition of community since 1907. Member FDIC.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
It can be tempting to hit the gas pedal when you're in a hurry, but excessive speed can cost you more than time. It can take your life. In fact, speeding is a factor in almost 1/3 of all fatal crashes in Kansas. So slow down and stay safe, because speeding is a race you can't win. A message from the Kansas Department of Transportation.
The 71st Annual Tri-State Antique Engine and Thresher Show is happening July 25th through the 27th in Bird City, Kansas, with fun for all ages and a new sound system. See live demonstrations, including a rare showing of the 1831 Reaper in the field. Check out over 17 operating steam engines, 200 plus tractors, including Gibson tractors, and pre-war cars and trucks. Visit the newly remodeled museum and take in a parade all 3 days. It's the Tri-State Antique Engine and Thresher Show, July 25th through the 27th, all happening on the northeast side of Bird City, Kansas.
Fraudsters are out to get your hard-earned money, but you can protect yourself by following 3 simple steps. 1, don't give your account number, card information, or online banking login credentials to anyone. 2, be cautious in responding to unexpected pop-up windows or text messages. And 3, watch your accounts. If you suspect that your bank information has been compromised, call your FNB Bank immediately. We are here to help you protect your hard-earned money. FNB Bank, member FDIC.
Nothing beats the classic taste and goodness of Earth Grain's 100% whole wheat bakery bread. Earth Grain's unique recipe combines whole grains with the old-fashioned taste of brown sugar and honey, creating a delicious whole grain bread that will appeal to your entire family. And with 18 grams of whole grain per slice, it's good for them too. Earth Grain's breads, baking our best for you.
Rise and shine. It's butt whipping time.
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Christian Peck-Dimit.
Do you want to keep this job? Shut up, listen, learn.
The region's only local sports talk show, discussing it all from the preps to the pros.
What time is it?
Simulcasting on AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State, streaming online at nwksradio.net and the Rockingham app.
They are everywhere.
The Blitz is presented by the Insurance Agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
Bobby Wood Jr. slides, pops up to his feet, and he made that play look much easier than it was.
Anthony Molina trying to extricate himself. Another 2-2 swing and a miss. Got him with a breaking ball. Molina leaves him loaded.
Pham bounces this one left side of the infield, deep in the hole, or now it's the jump throw.
Line to the right field. Burleson with a 2-strike bullet, and the Cardinals take the lead. He is something else.
That's what they say about me every single day. He is something else. Hey, good Wednesday morning, everybody. We're back on the Morning Blitz, broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, AM 730, Fox Sports Tri-State, as well, of course, at nwksradio.net, any mobile streaming app, and, of course, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream up and rolling this morning across Facebook, Twitter /X, and, of course, YouTube. As always, you're welcome to join our show with the text line, the number 785-899-2222. The FNB Bank text line, of course, is open. And please hit us up there throughout the program with your thoughts and questions. But, ready to go. I tell you what, I was out. I did something yesterday I've never done in my life, Christian. I've never done. So yesterday, the new owner, Kyle, came out to Goodland, and we are, for those who don't know, I should just we'll probably just break the news a little bit. We are going to be getting a new building, a new studio building in Goodland. And so I'll just say we'll be getting a new one here sometime. I'm going to say in the next year. I'm just going to set the thing. It should be sooner than that, but I'm just going to set it off in the distance just because within the next 365. Anyway, yesterday I did something I've never done. I was helping survey the land. You know what I'm talking about with surveying? You know what I'm talking about with surveying? You know where they put up the tripod thing and they're looking? Yeah, that's exactly right. I was the guy holding the stick off in the distance. I've never done it before in my life, but that's what I did yesterday.
A very good use of your time, I'm sure.
It was fine. I'm not complaining. About it. It was just something.
I'm sad that I missed it.
You do in your life, and you did it, and that's what it was. I was helping survey yesterday.
I'm sad that I missed it. That I didn't get to see Ross out there with his
you would have been there
level
taking pictures and video and posting it to our TikTok account.
Hey,
what is Ross
almost at
when he's not on the air?
Nothing important. We're almost at 500 TikTok followers on NWKS Sports. So go give that a follow. We post clips from the show, so that's always a fun way to get more of us because you can't get enough. That's.
I still cannot believe how many clips or how many comments we continue to get on the Lincoln Cure post from, golly, it's been over a month ago.
He's already committed.
I know, it's amazing. There's people who still comment on everything. Oh, yeah. I love how people think I'm an idiot because I said Nebraska, and I was like, well, it's because that's what I'm drawing conclusion from. I'm not from Kansas. I don't know how many there's probably way more 5 stars in the state of Kansas, was my point, over the history of time than there is in Nebraska. I'm just drawing off of my own personal knowledge. Trust me, it was purposely done that way. But
I enjoy the comments that at the time he was undeclared, so they're every man a Wildcat, or they're arguing where he's going to go. He's going to be a Jayhawk. He's going to be this, and some of them are, "You're an idiot. Mark my words." He's going to be a Jayhawk, and so we've gotten couple comments over the past few weeks going, "I'm back. My bad. I was wrong."
Anyway, well, today's show we'll be having in studio Goodland High School basketball coach for the boys. Mikey Dahl is going to join us in studio, coming off a state runner-up finish in 3A. We'll be talking about him with his summer. They return everybody, but really one key piece. And I'm curious how this summer went for a lot of different reasons. But we'll see how it all goes. They've got kids playing basketball all the time during the summer. They've got some kids, that I'm just curious who got time to play during the summer. Like I said, I'll be very intrigued to hear what Coach Dahl has to say. I think they have a big cornhole tournament coming up as well to help raise money. So we'll discuss that with Coach Dahl here coming up in our second segment. 2 nights ago was a fun night to be a Rockies and the Royals fan. Last night, not so much. Diamondbacks take care of the Royals. Royals offense, Robbie Ford has held just 1 hit. It was a double, though, so he still continues to smash. But he had a bad day for his recent play. And the Rockies were blasted early and often and ended up getting shut out by the Red Sox 6-0 last night. We'll get some more thoughts on that in segment 3. And the Olympics get going today. Even though the opening ceremonies have not begun, the Olympics do get going today. We'll touch on that in the walk-off. But I wanted to start this. Yeah, what do you got a point? Go ahead.
No, is that?
You just got to jump in. You got to yell in. You got to just jump in and cut
we got to scream over Ross to cut him off. We're talking about it later. Are they at double-digit shutouts now? Are the Rockies?
It's got to be close. It's got to be.
They're either at
close.
9 or 10. I'll have to find that out before we talk later in the show. But
it's really close. I think you're right. I think it is 9 or 10. I think it might be 10 now. That might have been the 10th.
Oh, we've got a texter, Lyndon, into the show who says he's a Red Sox fan and he's going to the game tonight. That's a trek, but I'm sure it'll be worth it. Hopefully the weather.
2.5 hours down I-70. It's a piece of cake.
Yeah, I'm more thinking 2.5 hours back on a weeknight.
That might be true. Now, that's true. The late nights will get you.
But hey, if you're a Red Sox fan, it might just be worth it.
But thanks again, Lyndon, for chiming in here on the Morning Blitz. We appreciate that. Once again, the FB Bank text line is open. I want to get the show going today with a little bit of a debate topic. And so anyway, of course, media days are going on across the entire country. I've got my Husker football bug eater shirt on today as Nebraska and Matt Rule take the podium here today and discuss, as well as other teams from the ACC and the Big Ten today and other conferences as well of the non-Power 4 variety. But nonetheless, I wanted to just dive into a Big 12 question revolving more of our team. So when you see the media days, stuff, you see a lot of people talk about how pressure to win, hey, you're a coach and this year, you've got to win, or are you feeling the pressure? There's always about pressure to win in this day and age of, especially this day and age of we got to win now type of deal. And certain coaches have set that expectation. Once again, they're the great coaches, Urban Meyer and those ones. They've said, well, hey, you can do it in year 1 or year 2. You just got to get done in this pressure and expectations. So I want to put a little twist on that and say, of Kansas and Kansas State, Leipold and Kleiman, who has the most pressure to win this season? Now, you would say, as a fan of following both teams, like, well, neither of them have pressure. They're both great. They're both sitting in fine position. Neither of them have pressure. Okay, yes, I would agree. But let's have some fun. If you were to pick one, who has the most pressure? Is it Lance Leipold at Kansas, or is it Chris Klieman at Kansas State, and why? Christian, I'll let you have the floor first.
Thank you. To be honest with you, my initial thoughts when you suggested this for something to talk about today were exactly what yours were, which is, hey, let's be real here. Neither of these guys have very much pressure at all, if anything. I mean, what Lance Leipold has done for the Kansas program in just 3 years has been, frankly, nothing short of incredible. This was a team that, even in his first year, won just 2 games. And newsflash for those of you, who aren't Kansas fans, or maybe who are Kansas fans, this was not a nationally known program. It was almost laughable to talk Kansas football or to talk about Kansas with anything but basketball coming immediately after it. And he's made them into a nationally relevant program. He got them their first bowl win since 2008. 9 wins is something to be proud of, especially considering that they had all kinds of injury trouble, particularly with Jalen Daniels. But that quarterback room was a rotating door of multiple different starters, and it was all kinds of trouble just to know who was going to be under center for you week in and week out. And it was incredibly creative offensively. It was all kinds of heart and fight to get big time wins and to get up to 9 with what you had. So I think especially Leipold doesn't have any pressure. And obviously Klieman has done great things for K-State's program as well in the 5 years that he's been with them. A 10-win season, 4 of his 5 wins. Let's get there. 4 of his 5 seasons, more than 8 wins. He's been
There'd
great.
be some pressure for those 4 or 5 wins.
Right? 4 of his 5 seasons, at least 8 wins. And he, of course, has made and helped continue this program as a nationally relevant one as well. And look where they are right now in the hunt for potentially a college football playoff spot. I think Kansas realistically can grab one as well, but K-State is maybe even expected to get there. And that's where it gets me. Is, to be clear, my official stance is there is no pressure on either of these squads. On the relative scale of being a high D1 program that's expected to get at least 7 or 8 wins this year, both of them are. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on either of these coaches or either of these programs. But I think if you had to point blame, if you had to point a finger, I think there's more pressure on Klieman, only because of what the national media now expects him and Avery Johnson in this program to do. Because we've talked about it week in and week out on this show that, man, Avery Johnson's such a talent. And they got Giddens back, and they got Dylan Edwards in the portal, and they got all these different guys. And we thought, in regional thinkers and regional analysts start going, ooh, this could be a team that maybe is in play for the Big 12 conference this season. It's a new look conference. It's hard to judge, but should be a very good team this year. And then you could tell exactly when the national media got their hands on Avery Johnson and on this K-State squad, because slowly you started seeing his Vegas odds for Heisman climb, and slowly you started seeing the wins expected climb, and slowly you started seeing these national media outlets start throwing Avery Johnson's name into big time conversations. Slowly you started seeing K-State and the Cats be in discussion for a legitimate top 6 spot in the college football playoff this year. I'm not saying those are unrealistic standards. I'm just saying those standards only really came about halfway through this offseason when the national media got a hold of Kansas State. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's really cool to see what is a school that isn't necessarily a blue blood get the kind of talk and hype that they do. But of course, what comes along with all of that? Pressure. We talked with Joe Tillery yesterday about the idea that Avery Johnson probably won't care about the pressure. He's a nice, fun, charismatic kid, doesn't take himself too seriously, probably won't maybe pale in the big shoes that he's expected to fill. I would have to agree. I think everything I've seen from him, I don't expect the kid to fail or choke in any way. And of course, we want him to have as much success as possible, the nice young man that he is, or at least seems to be. But guess what? This is a program that now is expected, not expected to, but realistically, people are looking at them right up there with Utah. They have the same betting odds to win the Big 12 conference as Utah does. That's cool on the one hand if you're a Cats fan. On the other hand, that is a ton of pressure. If you now go out and win 8 games this season and go play in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl or something, oh boy, golly gee, that's great for you guys, but you certainly have failed expectations, and everything is relative in the modern age of college sports, really in sports in general. Everything is relative to what you expect. You see wild things like in the NBA, there are teams that get more criticized for making the playoffs and then choking when it matters than teams do get criticism for not making the playoffs at all. I think we could see something like that here, where even though they have a good season, they could be criticized for not living up to expectations. So I think if there is pressure on one program or one coach, it's Kleinman and the Cats.
I'm so glad we brought this topic up because that's fascinating. See, I think you bring up great points. I can't disagree with a whole lot of that, to be honest with you, because there is pressure on Kansas State because of what you've done in previous years. You are a defending Big 12, not this year, but a couple years, a defending Big 12 football champion. Last year, you didn't have as good of a year. You slid back a little bit. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. And now the pressure comes that, you know what? The two big dogs or the faces of your conference are gone. Oklahoma and Texas are gone. And who slides into that spot? Right now, it's probably Kansas State. It's one of those teams that's sliding into the top spots as a representative of the Big 12. And so there is pressure with that. There's pressure with not having Colin Klein there anymore, and you're having a new offensive system. There's pressure there. There is pressure at Kansas State to win. I think there's a lot more pressure at Kansas State because, once again, I just go back to my point. Once again, I'm just agreeing with you on this point, but I actually have a separate point. But there's pressure, I think, with Avery Johnson I believe they've got to be careful with him. They cannot force him to try and do too much. Kansas State is a great team when they load up their backs and Giddens and Edwards, hopefully, and they run behind that offensive line, which, by the way, only returns 2 starters from last year, Carter Willis at the right tackle spot and Lake and native Hadley Panzer at the right guard spot. So they only have, and they've got to replace the rest of that offensive line. That's going to be hard. That's going to be more difficult than you would think. So
they have done some work in the transfer portal. Easton Kitley from North Dakota is probably a day one starter. That helps, but you're right.
But those guys have to gel. That's the thing about the last couple of years. I mean, that offensive line was one of the best in the country. I mean, they were probably finalists for the Joe Moore Award, best offensive line in the nation. They were great. And that solves a lot. That takes away a lot of headaches when you can line up and run the ball behind those guys and lean on them. And that's something they got to work there. But you're right, Christian. There is pressure for Kansas State this year and for Clemson because of the expectations. But I'm going to flip the script, and I'm going to say there's actually more pressure on Kansas and Lance Leipold. And here is why. Because your best players are seniors this year. And if you don't get it done this year, and by getting it done, last year they went 9-4. I don't want to sit here and say that was a bad year because it was good. But let's say Kansas wants to compete for a Big 12 championship this year and a playoff spot. This is the year to do it because Jalen Daniels is back. Remember, he was the Big 12 preseason offensive player of the year 2 years ago. He got hurt, didn't play much. They relied a lot on a backup quarterback to get it done, and he did very, very well. They had and Jason Bean, he was fantastic. He's gone. Now it's Cole Ballard, who, by the way, I think started and played in the Kansas State game and as a freshman struggled as expected. He's the backup now. Devin Neal is a senior. He'll be gone. He's got a pro career ahead. They're lucky they got him back another year. Lawrence Arnold, Quentin Skinner, Luke Grimm, all guys that caught passes for him last year, seniors. They'll be gone next year. My point being, they're an old team. It's their time to win this year. If you don't win this year, who knows when your chance is going to be as good to do so. You get what I'm saying? That's why I think Leipold has more pressure this year to win because of the pieces he has. He has the pieces to win big in the Big 12 this year, especially without the likes of Texas and Oklahoma being there. So there is pressure at Kansas to win right now because of the players you have, and more than likely will not have them next year. So you need to win now. Whereas Kansas State, hey, you can go back and you can say, well, your offensive line was gelling. You have a first-year full-time quarterback. We get that. You had new offensive coordinator. There's excuses to lean upon if you're Kansas State. At Kansas, yeah, you have a new offensive coordinator. I do get that. But you do have really good players that showed great promise. You went 9-4 last year, even without the Big 12 preseason offensive player of the year. I still feel like Kansas has a little bit more pressure than Kansas State this year to win here in 2024, and that is why.
It's actually funny. I was sitting on my couch yesterday and thinking about just that, nursing my wounds after pickup basketball, and I'm thinking, I kind of want to say, because my initial thought was, hey, there is no pressure, not a ton, on either of these coaches, and then my mind went right to Leipold for that reason. If I were to think, I think that Kansas State has more pressure because of the national media presence. I mentioned that. But if Kansas is to have more pressure, it's exactly for the reasons that Ross just said. This is an older team, and hey, that matters a whole lot less in the transfer portal era where you can snap your that was a terrible snap. You can snap your fingers and reload your team, and not only that, you're expected to year in and year out, and you can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can get a ton of day one starters in the portal. More than that, you can get impact players, guys who are going to have big changes on your season through the portal. I think that's important to remember when you look at the age of this team. But regardless, you're exactly right. You have established players. Basically, every skill player that's going to touch the football for Kansas this year will not be playing for them in the year after. I think that's important to remember, Ross. You make some good points there. Kansas has an older team. I think just in terms of managing expectations, Kansas State has more pressure. But Kansas is seen as an underdog as well. Not an underdog, rather a dark horse candidate to win this Big 12 chip. They got multiple, I think it was 5 first place votes in the media preseason poll. They were voted 4th. They have basically at every betting odds book the 4th best odds to win the conference. And there is a power vacuum in the Big 12. Ross mentioned it. Oklahoma, Texas, they're gone. Preseason, everyone slots Kansas State and Utah to slide in there. But let's be fair here. Anyone can. Kansas can. There is a big power vacuum in the conference, and everyone is just waiting to see who will grab it up. Kansas potentially can here. This is a team that on the top end, with all of the talent that they have, can realistically win the Big 12, can be a top 6 seed in the conference. They have the schedule that's not ridiculously difficult, but just hard enough that if they can get through with one loss, you're all right. You'll be in the top 10 AP-wise because of your strength of schedule. I think this is a team that can compete in the Big 12. I know that's not the discussion we're having, but those are expectations to remember as well, that I'm not the only one that thinks that. Betting odds makers, people, analysts around the country are looking at Kansas as a little bit of a dark horse to sneak into the playoffs. That's important to remember when you think about pressure.
This is from the Athlon Sports football magazine that I like to read from time to time, and this is the final analysis of both Kansas and Kansas State. I think it hits our points home. This is Kansas. This helps hammer my point home. This is it. The Jayhawks' best chance to make a real run at a conference title. Leipold's team boasts 30 seniors. Most of those players are back from last year's 9-win team and was a few plays away from 11 or 12 victories. Daniel's health will be key. And what does it say? They'll need to mine the portal or develop players to fill the cracks on defense to get there. That's another big thing, pressure on the defense, because that offense, we know, can be special. In Kansas State, they said given the upgraded at quarterback and has skill position talent, the Wildcats could be dangerous if the offensive line holds up. But they could challenge for their second Big 12 title in 3 years. Look, like we said to open up this segment, there's not a lot of pressure on either coaches or teams when you talk about possibly getting fired. That's not the type of pressure I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of pressure about winning striking while the iron is hot. That's the time right now for both these teams, particularly Kansas, with what you have in your roster and what you have. So you've got really good players, Devin Neal, highlighted by Devin Neal and Jalen Daniels, and it's time to win now. You got to win now if you're Leipold, because the chance like this might not come for another 4 or 5 years, possibly. Whereas Kansas State, you're kind of at the start of an extent, a rebuild. That's the thing. You kind of look at a graph. You start, you're building up. You may have a great season, but then you graduate the guys, you got to start again. Yeah. Kansas is down here again. They lost the offensive line. They lost their quarterback. They're on the, Kansas State, you're right, has to build back up again. Kansas is at the pinnacle. They're at the top. We're built. We're built to win right now. Whereas Kansas State is, we're built and we're building to win more in the future. We're still going to have a really good season, though.
With the idea of striking while the iron is hot, it's hard not to look at Kansas and say, this is the year. This is the year. You've got to make it worth something, because that article hit it on the head. You were this close. You were only a few plays with a backup quarterback, sometimes with a third stringer and all, from making this a top tier 10-11 win team. And I think you just bring enough back, especially I think Kansas's defense is going to be underrated and pretty solid this year. Most of the work they did in the portal,
particularly in the passing game.
Mello Dotson, Kobe Bryant,
the Hawk Mamba.
Oh my goodness, they're incredible. And I think most of the work that they did in the portal is on that side of the football as well. A couple of good defensive linemen grabbed, a safety from Utah State, one transfer from Michigan, and one from Michigan State, both of whom could be impact players on your defensive line. I think that is the part of your defense that's going to have more issues, but you're absolutely right. If you want a year to go out, win the Big 12, be a top 10 team in the country, and play for a national championship, and you're Kansas, this is the year. You might not, this may become a program that has a big name, and if you do that, you'll get yourself all kinds of national media hype, and you'll definitely get more looks because of it from recruits. Maybe that'll make another appearance a lot easier, or maybe you'll make it come quicker. But as of right now, as of where we sit, if you want to make a run like that, it's this year.
Anyway, more pressure. Chris Kleiman or Lance Leipold. Very interesting conversation there. Let's get to a break. When we come back, Mikey Dahl is going to join us in studio. Goodland High School boys basketball coach. What kind of summer it's been for the state runner-ups in 3A? We'll discuss that next here on the Morning Blitz.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants and stuff.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. Here we'd have dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
It's time now for news from the world of agriculture on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Caitlin Walters. Drone usage in agriculture has continued to increase in recent years, with over 3 million acres sprayed by these unmanned aircraft in 2023 alone. However, legislation making its way through Congress seeks to effectively ban Chinese-made DJI drones in the U.S. due to security risks they pose to farmers and ranchers. Arthur Erickson, CEO of U.S. drone manufacturer Helio, gives some historical context to this situation and the potential of a ban.
Back in 2017, so already about 7 years ago, the Department of Homeland Security put out a memo stating that they had strong reason to believe that DJI drones were sending critical information back to the Chinese government that could be used to undermine U.S. national security in various ways. And they also actually made an argument back then, too, that DJI was dangerous for using monopolistic practices and undermining the U.S. drone market by price dumping and things of that nature. So they sent that memo out. They also said, hey, the federal government in the U.S. should not use any of these Chinese-made drones anymore for these security reasons. So then you start to see in the National Defense Authorization Act of 2019 that the Chinese-made drones were in fact banned for purchase and use by the U.S. government. Now, fast forward to 2024, where we are today, that ban and those concerns have grown even further. And so there are calls from a lot of people to ban Chinese drone use outright. So not just in the public sector, but also the private sector here in the States. And that's what this ban effectively would do. It was proposed by Elise Stefanik, representative out of New York. It passed through the House and the Senate now. And what it will do is basically make DJI the largest drone manufacturer in the world, Chinese-based company, into a covered entity as defined by the government, which means that they would not be allowed FCC authorization to operate on the frequencies and communication channels in our country. So all the drones would basically become paperweights because they need those communications to function. It would be a virtual ban, and we're going to have to see where it ends up, but that's where we currently are.
That was Arthur Erickson, CEO of U.S. drone manufacturer Helio. For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Caitlin Walters. Introducing Certain Herbicide, the latest corn innovation from BASF. It brings powerful PPO residual chemistry into a pre through early post application thanks to novel solid encapsulation technology. Apply from pre-plant to V3 and get up to 8 weeks of residual control or suppression of 79 broadleaf and grass weed species. Don't chase weeds all through the season. Attack them before they emerge with Certain Herbicide from BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Water hemp, Palmer amaranth, and giant ragweed. Left undisturbed, they will become the most dangerous foes to corn plants. But in the early season, these weeds are at their weakest. Now is the time. A predator lurks. Certain Herbicide attacks, unleashing full residual power before weeds have a chance to emerge. Pre or early post application, they are hopeless against such effective chemistry. Certain Herbicide from BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Keep your ride running at peak performance by scheduling an appointment with the Daves at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Hurl's has a full-service service department where they'll work on all makes and models, not just GM. They do tire repair and replacement. They'll make sure your AC is running at its best for these hot summer months. Plus, customers who bought a used vehicle from Hurl's get a lifetime warranty and reduced oil change prices. So get your appointment scheduled today by calling 785-890-0000. That's 890-0000 and ask for Dave. You're sure to get one of them.
It's the Morning Blitz.
What is this, amateur hour?
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central on 102.5 U Rock and the Rocking M app.
Continuing on a Wednesday show, glad you're with us. 20 minutes till the top of the hour. 68 degrees outside to get your morning going on our way to a high of 94. Going to be a toasty one today. We're pleased to welcome in studio Goodland High School boys basketball coach Mikey Dahl, who's kind enough to join us now and spend some time. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's always a good time to get in here.
Point that microphone right at you. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Thank you. But yeah, how's the summer been?
It's been good. Fast-paced, hot at times, a little bit of rain mixed in,
A little bit of rain mixed in. Not a lot of rain.
Not a lot, just
but
a little
bit of rain mixed in.
We need some more.
No doubt about that. How about from the basketball perspective? How has it been? What was kind of set up for this summer, and what has happened to this point for Goodland Cowboy basketball coming off a state runner-up?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for us was kind of to see, you kind of know we had returned 6 guys who were kind of rotation pieces, kind of see who's going to fit with them and get some younger guys some more varsity time. Some guys who are ready. The Barrett Sloshers, the Jackson Millers, Cato Romero, Jesus Saucedo. There's a few more too. Kind of see how they fit and mesh and how they do with the varsity game and see how they fit in with our guys. And so that was kind of cool to see them do that. We were able to get a lot of gym time in with our breakfast club again, which was really good for us. Got a lot of shots up. Just kind of see where we're at. It's a different team. We have a lot of experience. We have a lot of good players returning. There's no doubt about that. But every year, no matter how you look at it, we're different teams. So just finding what works for us and what we need to adjust going into the season.
The Breakfast Club, as you call it, that was, I think, one of the big reasons for great success last year. Do you feel like that's been on the same level this season?
Yeah, definitely. Probably even a little bit more elevated. I think our numbers were better, more consistent this summer. Last summer we had about 6 or 7 guys consistently show up. This summer we had about 12 guys in there every single day, if not more at certain times. And so it was really good. We shot the ball extremely well for a high school basketball team last year, and I think that we'll be able to continue to do that. And a large part of that is because the work that these guys put in the summertime, getting those shots up and just being able to trust their shot when they do it. And obviously what we do offensively with spacing the floor and creating for others helps too. But that extra time that we put in is invaluable and speaks volume to our kids that they wake up 30 minutes earlier in the morning before they lift weights to come just get those extra shots up.
You mentioned it there with the Breakfast Club. On a day-to-day, what does it look like for you being able to put in work throughout the summer? Are you running them through shooting drills? Is it scrimmages, those 30 minutes before weights? What do you usually like to do, or sort of just throw out some balls, let them do whatever they like?
Yeah, so just with the Breakfast Club, they're showing up at 5:30 a.m. and it's pretty much shooting drills. We'll mix in some ball handling and we try to get in some free throw work as well. So we're not doing anything super high intensity, I guess, no defense, anything like that. We're just trying to get reps. A lot of that stuff that maybe gets under the radar come season time because you got preparations and this and that you're trying to get done. And so just trying to keep that there. We don't want to tire them out before weights because we think that the time in the weight room is invaluable. We want to be 100% for that. So a lot of shooting, a lot of ball handling work, a lot of skill work, definitely.
Head coach of the Goodland Cowboy basketball team, Mikey Dahl, joining us here in studio on this Wednesday morning. We haven't talked a lot since the season came to an end. I was kind of curious. You've had probably some time to sit down, reflect, maybe rest on the couch for a few minutes and think about the season that was last year. What are some of the thoughts that you've had here a few minutes after finishing runner-up there in Hutchinson?
It was pretty special. We wanted to get the job done. We knew that we could get the job done. And so as far as that, we didn't accomplish what we wanted to, but looking back, it was definitely a special year. I don't think it's anything that many people outside of our locker room thought that we could do. You could say that also about Willisville. I don't think anyone picked Willisville to win state either. So it was definitely it was fun. We went in with the chip on our shoulder to start the season because we weren't ranked. We weren't ranked for a while. We were able to use that for motivation. Unfortunately, we weren't able to play Beloit, so we thought the quote unquote number one team in 3A. We didn't get to play them for a long time, so we kept that chip on the shoulder and just to be able to knock off and play some really good teams. Beat Lakin 3 times, Holcomb 3 times, beat Colby twice. Those are all really good programs. Take Hugoton to overtime. Lose a close one to Latham North. Beat Hayes was probably a huge marquee win in overtime for us. But then just to make the run that we made, those 5 games that we made in our postseason before the state championship, man, we were playing some great basketball. And to be able to, clear the bench in every single one of those games is something that you don't really get to do 5 straight games. Get 12 guys into the state tournament. Actually, we got 13 guys in the state tournament due to a sickness, but it's pretty cool to be able to do that. And so it was fun to reflect on, but also realize that, hey, we got to get that chip back on our shoulders because we didn't get it done.
Mikey Dahl, once again in studio. What has it been like, at least in the early stages, of trying to replace a phenomenal point guard and leader in Manny Gonzalez?
Don't get me wrong, Manny's an outstanding player, phenomenal leader, competitor, and he's definitely going to be missed. But Braylon Mole is ready. He's been ready. He has stepped up and has surpassed my expectations early. He came out and played there in Marysville, which is the first week that we get in the summertime, and he was phenomenal on both ends of the floor. Last year, he was great for us defensively. He really shot it well there at Marysville. He handles the ball extremely well. So I think we're in great hands there in the point guard spot. I think the leadership, there's some things that we can do leadership wise and competitive wise. And, I kind of talked to our guys. Like, I feel like Manny was a killer, out there. And that's kind of what I think we need to replace or find is a killer on our team. And I think if we can find that, then we're going to be okay. But you can't really replicate a lot of things that Manny did just because of his style of play. But as far as taking over the point guard position, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape there.
Yeah, you had to feel good considering the guys that rotated a lot last year and played a lot and have that experience. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's hard to replace his style of play, his quickness and stuff like that was certainly matched. You mentioned Marysville. I want to get that right. You went there for basketball camp. What other things have you done this summer to get the guys together and to go play other teams? And at the same time, how has that looked in comparison to the previous year?
So this was a little bit different summer. We didn't get to play with everyone all together, except for 2 games this summer. And so different things going on, sickness and official visits and work and stuff like that. And that stuff happens, and that's okay. Like I said, it gave our younger guys some more time to step up and try to earn their spot and get that playing time. So started out there in Marysville. Then we got a really cool experience that we got invited to the Midwest Showcase in Kansas City.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, so the top teams in the state of Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. It's 6 states that get invited to it. And so we got the invite to there. And so we got to see some great competition there. We were pretty shorthanded there, but we did a good job. And then we ended up going to Colby and playing in their Oasis shootout that they have, which is really good competition as well. So we were able to get right around 16, 17 games, which was good for us. But like I said, we only had 2 games where we had everyone together. And that's just the way that it is. And that's okay. But it was definitely valuable for us.
That had to be, I don't want to say, it's not frustrating, it's not the right word, but that had to be a kind of a newer deal or a newer experience, when you couldn't get everybody together a little bit more than that. But you don't, not every year do you have, a Lincoln Cura Division I athlete taking official visits. That's not going to happen every single year out here in Goodland, America.
Right. Yeah. And I think it was important for us to get a couple games where we had everyone together just so we know what style would exactly work for us. We kind of changed styles mid-season last year defensively, and then see where we fit positional wise. Lincoln's probably going to be, with Blair playing more at the 5, is Lincoln going to fit more on the perimeter? Are we going to have some more 2-post offense type of stuff? And so just being able to see that for a couple games was important for us, I think, and kind of gives me a little bit more confidence going into day 1 of practice.
Should be another very exciting year, though, no doubt about it, with the pieces that are coming back for Goodland Cowboy basketball. And I would also like you to kind of touch on, I know Brady Brumbaugh has been working a lot over the summer, playing with his, I'm going to say AAU, I don't know if that's the correct term anymore, but his kind of basketball squad. And he seems to be getting some pretty good recognition for the work he's been putting in over the summer. Yeah, absolutely. He's playing with the Puma League with Kansas Magic, which is a team kind of, based out of McPherson, Central Kansas. And he's been, it's been really cool. He's been getting to see a lot of different, we went to Indianapolis this last weekend, so been well traveled here this summer, but getting to see some great competition, and it seems like he's been playing extremely well. He gets write-ups on a lot of these tournaments, and so it's really cool to see him to get the recognition that he deserves with all the hard work that he's putting in. And the cool thing that I like to hear about Brady is I ask him how it goes afterwards, and he always tells me how the team does. And then I kind of have to ask him, well, how did you play? I like it, Brady, but I don't, I care more about how you play, not the other guys right now, when we get to play for the Goodland Cowboys. And so he's definitely a team oriented guy. He's in the weight room every single day. He's battling some injuries right now and stuff like that. But he's there encouraging his teammates, and he's definitely been a good leader for us. Therefore, for the Goodland Cowboys too. I'll let you go on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys still have your cornhole tournament coming up here in August. Is that going to be happening again? Yes, we do.
I wish I had the exact date for you here, Ross, but
make sure you text me that information. All right.
Yeah. I'll get that information to you and let you get out there.
It's sometime in August.
Sometime in August. Yeah. The back to school bash, whenever that is, we'll have the information out on Facebook. So proceeds go to us and our summer basketball. And like I said, we try to keep the funds as low as we can for our guys and keep that manageable for them. And so we can go do some fun things.
Well, it certainly was a fun year last year, and hopefully more fun coming up here in the 24-25 season. That's Goodland head boys basketball coach Mikey Dahl. Coach, thank you for getting up. Safe travels to Salina today, and we'll catch up soon, all right?
All right, thank you, Ross.
Once again, that's Mikey Dahl joining us here in studio. Quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap the show with some final thoughts. The Rockies and the Royals and the Olympics get going today as well, next in the Morning Blitz.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland, open every day but Sunday.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Keep your ride running at peak performance by scheduling an appointment with the Daves at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Hurl's has a full-service service department where they'll work on all makes and models, not just GM. They do tire repair and replacement. They'll make sure your AC is running at its best for these hot summer months. Plus, customers who bought a used vehicle from Hurl's get a lifetime warranty and reduced oil change prices. So get your appointment scheduled today by calling 785-890-0000. That's 890-0000 and ask for Dave. You're sure to get one of them.
The Logan County Fair in Oakley runs this week with a lot of activities, fun for the family. Like this Thursday night is the Ranch Rodeo, mutton busting, steer riding, the Calcutta. That's at the Logan County Fairgrounds at 7:30 on Thursday. Friday, 3 o'clock beer tasting, 4 o'clock the livestock auction with the buyer's supper immediately following, and then fun night on Friday night, the demo derby Saturday night, the Logan County Fair in Oakley with a home-owned, home-operated carnival on the Midway this week in Oakley.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks, and you're listening to my main man, Ross Volkmer. He may be a Husker, but he also knows how to rock chalk. And you're listening to the Morning Blitz right here on 102.5 You Rock.
Thanks again to Coach Dahl for stopping on by. Once again, be on the lookout for their cornhole tournament coming up here in early August at the Back to School Bash. Once again, we'll get you more details on that coming up at a later date. But like I said, it's a great thing to help raise money, gives the kids some fun money stuff. I know they used it at the state tournament last year. They went and had some fun on their off day. They played the first game Wednesday, then got Thursday off, so they used it on Thursday to go have some fun away from the basketball court. So it's a good cause, of course, in that cornhole. And that cornhole tournament's usually pretty full. They usually get a good turnout for that as well. But we always love to help promote any program as best as we possibly can here on the Morning Blitz. That is for sure. Any thoughts on Coach Dahl's conversation, Christian? I know you got one question in there. I didn't know if you had more. You just have to jump in and cut me off.
We always try to let him just do as much of the talking as possible. It's always interesting to hear the summer processes because they're different for every sport, and a lot of them, like he mentioned, have to sort of cede their time to weights. And I think it speaks volumes about those kids. They're willing to, I can't remember if he said get up or be there at 5:30.
Oh no, that starts at you have to be in the door at 5:30.
Ridiculous. Be there at 5:30 for these high school kids during the summer. That's a lot to ask, and to have them put in the kind of work.
Start at 6, and so you're there 5:30 getting shots up. Yeah, hey, that's part of the deal.
Hey, exactly, and I think it's telling that they weren't whole during the summer. I think they'll end up down the stretch of the season seeing that as a benefit, because they had to get so many of their bench players all of this key time in tournaments, and you see it throughout the year where they had such a great bench last year, and that's a key to getting another good bench this year, is all of those guys not being afraid of the moment, or maybe they started in some of these summer tournaments, so they're used to it more. We also have a couple of texts on the F&B Bank text line, 785-899-2222, the number to be part of the morning blitz. Lyndon said it is an early game today, so
1:10 Mountain Time first pitch between Rockies and Red Sox. So he'll be home plenty of time. Plenty good for Lyndon.
Of course, and Michael on the text line as well, saying this show kicks a certain amount of butt, and we appreciate that. I probably shouldn't say the 3-letter word for butt on here, but thank you as always. And he also mentioned the NFL training camps getting going, the Broncos in particular today. We'll definitely talk about that coming up here, because hey, it's important, and that all important under center position, that question could be answered sooner rather than later. We'll see.
I love the football talk too, there, Michael. So we will be certainly talking more of it as the football season continues to get close. But yeah, if you missed any of our conversation earlier in the show about who has more pressure, Kansas or Kansas State, Leipold or Kleiman, I thought it was a great conversation with a lot of great points that were made. And so you'll have to go back and listen to that on the podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. But yeah, Royals and Rockies, after both getting losses yesterday, they will be on the diamond again today. Royals play again at 7:10 Central Time against the Diamondbacks. I said this was going to be a good series. It's a rubber match game tonight, which I would love to be able to watch, but I'm not going to be able to. Once again, I'm not like Christian and bootleg it. And
how dare you?
How dare you?
And
then the Rockies, we'll see if they can get her done this afternoon against the Red Sox in what is a rubber game as
you can.
Well,
even if you can't watch it, you can listen on AM 790.
That's true. That's true. And I could listen on the MLB app if I wanted to, but it really stinks when you want to watch it. I would love to watch the Royals a little bit more this year because they're actually good. I can't watch them.
That's the problem with the Tigers. They're having the same issue. People in Detroit, in Michigan, can't watch them.
Blackouts suck. They're outdated. Blackouts are outdated at this point in time.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
Really was a great show today. I invite you to go back and check out the podcast. Lots of good stuff with Mikey Dahl and, of course, the Leipold, the Kleiman conversation. The Olympics get going today with soccer and rugby. Which Olympic sports do you love to watch the most?
You're setting me up here. I'm going to just say basketball. Basketball. It's the lame answer, but let's be real. I'm a sports sycophant, as probably most of the people listening to this show are. If it's on, I'll find a way to watch it. I'll watch some rugby today. Why not?
I really enjoy. I enjoy the swimming. I think that's very good. My wife is a humongous swimming fan, so we watch all the swimming. I'm not as big in the gymnastics, although it's fine.
Gymnastics to me is very fun to watch.
Track and field is really good stuff. That is really fun to watch. Water polo is interesting. That's interesting.
I like watching the highlights from that.
Are you going to sign up for AI Al Michaels to give you updates on your favorite sports?
If I don't want AI anything to tell me anything.
By the way, I want to give a quick shout out here to Shiloh High School's Taylor McCarty. She's only a sophomore, but she just received her first D1 women's basketball offer to go to Southeast Missouri. Her brother Colton led Shiloh to a state title in football. Logan has done the same, and he was the first ever six-man player to play in the Kansas Shrine Bowl. The McCarty family is setting a lot of cool precedents. So Taylor McCarty, congratulations, young lady, on your first D1 offer. For Christian, I'm Ross. We're out of here. We're back again